What's happening, Saints fans? Steve Geller, Jeff Nowak, inside black and gold, coming at you after a Week 6 loss to the New England Patriots in the Caesars Superdome, 25-19. Just an odd-looking score, an odd-looking game, and a lot of the same old odd-looking things from this black and gold bunch, Jeff. A tough one that you hate to say you were competitive and still in the game despite a number of missteps.
Yeah, I mean, all these games are starting to blend together for me because they all look, with the exception of Week 3 in Seattle, they have all been the same, or at least I take that back. Week 1, Week 2, and Week 6 have been the exact same game. Like, go back and look at it, and this is what these games are. Even down to the fact that Week 2, you had that crazy fumble by Alvin Kamara as you were driving for a potential go-ahead touchdown. That's what happened this week. Instead, it was Juwan Johnson, and it's very tiring. And we were talking about before we came on, after Week 1, it was wow, they're competitive. I appreciate that they're competitive. Now it's man, I really wish they would just win these games rather than having a chance to win them, and opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. And that's the only area that I'll say, man, a quarterback might make a difference, but I can't be mad at Spencer Rattler for how he played in that game. And it was just, he wasn't the one missing opportunities, right? But no, this is going to be our standard post-game podcast. We're back. You know what the deal is. We're back to our losing ways. So, we're going to go through it all in the first segment. Second segment is going to be stock down. Third segment is going to be stock up. And if we have time, we're going to pregame Kellen Moore's press conference with a mailbag. But yeah, Steve, how you feeling?
The unfortunate thing is, again, you felt like there were definitely some highs in there that you want them to continue to build on. But for the most part, the way the game started out, you're falling behind, playing the catch-up game, some untimely penalties, some untimely drops, and then I don't know, just overall, it's a very disappointing outcome, even though you went into this year knowing what this team was going to look like. And I feel like, especially those red zone problems, Jeff, we talked about it. We saw it so much in training camp, and it's not going away.
Yeah, they had one game where it went well, and then the rest of the games where it's gone horribly. There was one game they went, I think it was against the 49ers, they went 3 for 3 in the red zone.
Was that Spence's 3 touchdowns day?
Yeah, I think they went 3 for 3 in the red zone that day.
We got over 20 points. Woohoo!
In every other game, it was it keeps happening. It keeps happening. It keeps happening. And there was one, the one that Chris Olave didn't catch. That wasn't even technically a red zone drive because the throw was from the 20, the 20.5-yard line. But no, I mean, it continues to be a thing. Taysom Hill got the red zone touchdown. Only one touch in this game, which I thought was interesting. He did get more snaps than he did in Week 1, but only the one touch. Which I think is probably good because you do want to you don't want it to be a situation where every time he goes on the field, he's getting the ball, which he kind of felt like in Week 1 was if he's out there, he's probably going to be getting the ball. So you do have to kind of set the tendency that sometimes he's just out there.
I don't think anyone thought Taysom will be back already anyway.
No, I mean, it's impressive. And it just I don't even think he did it. I don't even think he executed that play particularly well. It was just the play itself is so hard to defend that it was an easy touchdown. But no, I mean, this is where we are, right? This is the Saints in 2025. We knew going in, I'll throw back to my preseason prediction. I said it then, and I'll say it week after week after week. I had them at 4-13. I expected them to be in a lot of games. I did not expect them to find the winning plays in a lot of games. And that's been the story of this season. And we'll talk more about it. The slow starts on defense have been driving me up the wall. So I want to talk a lot about that in the first segment. We heard from Justin Reed, Devon Godshaw, and Kellen Moore on it. So we want to hear from all three of them. But let's just get into it. We don't need to commiserate here anymore. Let's just hit a quick break, come back, and we'll just dive straight in again. I'm Jeff Nowak. This is Inside Black and Gold. I always forget to change the header here. Let's get your name up. There you go. You can follow me on Twitter at Jeff_Nowak. You can follow Steve at Steve Geller WWL. And if you want to follow along with our stock up, stock down segment, you can go check out the column on WWL.com, which breaks it all down. We'll get through it as well. But I don't know. Maybe people make a study guide. I don't know. We're gonna keep doing it. But who dat? Go Saints. We will be right back. And we are back on Inside Black and Gold. Jeff Nowak alongside Steve Geller. We were reacting to Patriots 25, Saints 19. Steve, what we'll start here because I don't want to spend a ton of time talking about the Patriots themselves. But you come out of that game and, one of the things that stood out to me was not that the Patriots were that much better than the Saints, because I don't think they necessarily are. What stood out to me is that the Patriots playmakers made big plays when they needed big plays, right? Drake May looks like a budding star. I think he still has some growth, but man, he was in control of that game. The Saints got 18 pressures on him. It didn't feel like that. And I mean, like, contested catches, big moments. The Patriots wide receivers came up with those balls that the Saints wide receivers just never seem to. So what was kind of your reaction to watching that game live?
Yeah, you start comparing the two quarterbacks involved right away for sure. And like you mentioned, the thing that stands out is the fact that, well, the receivers for the Patriots are out there hauling in the tough catches and making grabs they should be, while a lot of times, unfortunately for Rattler, he was just let down. And you see so much promise from some guys, and you expect things out of someone like a Chris Olave and Juwan Johnson. But time and again now we've seen in key situations that are those game-changing kind of moments, the guys you rely upon have not been reliable.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. Like, when you throw the ball up to Stefan Diggs, you expect him to come down with it. When you throw the ball up to Kayshon Boutte, you expect him to come down with it. When I throw the ball up to Chris Olave, I kind of don't expect him to come down with it. And we're going to talk a lot about Chris in the stock down, so I don't want to hammer on him here. Yeah. It is weird because this is the second. And again, like I say, like, we've watched this game before. I mean, in week one, it was Juwan Johnson who led the game in receiving. And at the end, it was only negatives that we brought up, right? And it feels the same way for Chris Olave. 6 catches, 98 yards. That's a good game. You look at the stat sheet, you're like, oh, he was the leading receiver in the game. He must have had a good game. And then you look at how it played out, and you're like, man, it should have been a 200-yard game. There should have been a touchdown in there. And that's just not what you have. But again, it's not all on the offense, right? Because as we talked about, the defense has been getting off to starts that just are inexplicable. And when it happens against the Bills, fine, right? You're like, it's a really good offense. We didn't expect much better. And when it happened against the Seahawks, it was like, well, the second drive started at the 11-yard line. So that is what it is. When it happens against the Giants, when it happens against the Patriots, just like, what the hell, man? The Saints have allowed opening touchdowns on the first 2 possessions of the game for 4 consecutive weeks. After 2 offensive possessions for the other team in each of the last 4 weeks, they have had 14 points on the scoreboard. And I mean, I don't know, hold for a 1 field goal. Like, even if you don't get off the field, a field goal, force 1. No. And in this case, they were all long passes, which is even more frustrating. Like, Demario Douglas just got lost. Justin Reed talked after the game, and he was just like, we had a miscommunication. He was ticked. And I think what, Kellen Moore, the word he used was frustration after the game when he was asked about the mood in the locker room. And yeah, I think that, when I heard Justin Reed talk, when I heard Kellen Moore talk, that was the most, you don't get a lot from Kellen, but that was clearly the most frustrated he had been after a game to this point.
I get it, because that I think was you, me, and the rest of the fans as well. There's just so many things you want to get behind. You see something building, but it's the terrible cliche of 3 steps forward, 5 steps back, whatever you want to say. For whatever good they do, there seems to be so much other negatives that make you forget about some of the positive things the team has been able to accomplish. Because guess what? In the end, W's. It's the only thing that matters.
No question. And this is Kellen. Let's just kind of run through some of these just for perspective. This is what Kellen Moore had to say when I asked him about the slow starts.
Consecutive game, the opponent scored touchdowns in their first 2 drives. Is that the start?
Yeah.
It's obviously, we're not starting fast enough from a defense perspective, and we got to play better. We got to have a sense of urgency to get out there and get ready to roll. That's a couple weeks in a row in that scenario, and so that's not the formula we want, to be feeling like we're playing behind for a little while. And so, again, we got to take advantage of opportunities, and they come in all 4 quarters, and every moment is the same value from the first quarter all the way through the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and it does feel like, the Saints have just kind of required those first 2 drives to remember, hey, this is how we play defense, and I don't get it.
No, it is those halftime adjustments or whatever you want to call it. You're right. Like the second half of a game is completely flipped, and it is puzzling, the fact that for whatever reason, the opening 2 drives, I don't know if they're not awake or what. You just smack each other in the head, or, whatever kind of extra motivation. Change something up at this point. I don't care anything to come out with any more juice.
See, that's the thing. Like, people like to say halftime adjustments. Halftime adjustments are like the biggest myth in sports. Like, and I never really appreciated that until I started covering a game from the sideline, and you realize just how short halftime really is. Because even for me, I want to get off the field. I want to go to the bathroom. I want to grab a snack and get back on the field. It's like I barely have time to do that. Barely. And that's me. You're talking about the idea that they're going in the locker room and like making all these changes. Like, you're making changes throughout the course of the game. That's what coaching is.
Right.
But like halftime adjustments, I always get a kick out of that. But no, and Justin Reed kind of talks about it here. Like, it's not about the scheme. It's about executing the scheme. And it just seems like they come out flat. And this is Justin.
Yeah, I mean, it's been 4 weeks in a row that it's happened. At this point, it's become unacceptable. I don't think that it's scheme. I think it's execution of the scheme. And I think that in the first two series of the games, the past couple weeks, there's just been too many mental mistakes. You know what I mean? It hasn't been a scheme thing, an execution thing. It's just been mental mistakes, and they're getting exposed out there on the field, and it's taking us 2 drives before we settle down and then start executing. And then once we execute, the product's a lot better. But we can't keep starting every game giving up 14 points before the first quarter's.
Yeah, and I mean, it's true. Like, it just feels like they just don't come out with urgency and whatever. And here's the thing, why are mistakes happening? I am right there with everyone who says, hey, I want young players on the field. I want to see this team kind of lean into a youth movement, and they have been. But that's kind of the consequence you have, is there are mistakes, and the communication isn't always going to be perfect. And, why do you lose Demario Douglas? Why is Justin Reed not willing to say exactly what went wrong? It's because, young players make mistakes, and you're not going to call them out. It just happens. Right? Like, not everything's going to be perfect. And that's kind of what you live with. And that's why, like, taking the lumps this season is going to be beneficial in the long run, but that doesn't make it any more fun to watch happen in real time.
No, that's the thing. You watch these games, and it's kind of like what we at least kind of expected going into the season. It wasn't going to be pretty for us to watch this team try and grow into something that a new head coach and staff are molding. But man, it's still been, gut wrenching the way they've been able to find ways to not succeed at the end. And when I talk about, we can go over and over and over. What's repetitive is the red zone issues, and then getting off the field on third down.
Yep, and that's what I asked Devon Godchaux about in the locker rooms. This is the last clip I'll play on this, but this is him kind of talking about it. He was pretty blunt, like pretty candid about it. So let's hear it.
What do you make of the slow starts? I think the last 4 games, touchdowns on the opening possessions.
I think one of our coaches came out, just jokingly came out, we might as well just spot 14 points all the time, because that's what we do with slow starts. But thankfully we got back in the game. Just gotta find a way to get better and get off the field. That's the difference between okay teams and good teams. Good teams find a way to win games like that, and unfortunately, you take a look at Arizona, you look at San Fran, you look at Seattle was kind of doomed from the start. Punt return back, block kick. Who else? You look at every team we played, we was in the game. We should have won the game. We had a chance to win the game. But that's the difference between a good team and an okay team. You know, I think I know we have a good team, but it's up to us to prove it out there on Sundays, and just coming up a little bit short. But I think, you know, I'm excited. You know. The opportunity that we had today to try to win the game, but we just got to finish those games. You know, those games this is the NFL. You know, it's rarely going to be blowouts. You know, it's going to be 3-point games all the time, and we just got to find a way to just close it. And unfortunately, we haven't did that the last couple of weeks.
Is it a little tough to balance in the sense that you got them in 3rd and long, and it's just, you know, it's not the first time this happened. You were elite in forcing 3rd and longs, but just unable to get off the field. Like, how do you kind of assess that?
We got to figure it out. We got to, you know, all of us, coaches, players, staff, everybody, we got to figure it out, because I think if you look at it, that kind of what killed us today on defense. You know, I think the offense, for the most part, gave us 19 points. I think if Joanna fumbled, I think for sure, like I said, it's not on one person. I think for sure we go down and score that drive, because we had momentum of stopping them on the drive before. But you know, we just got to keep getting better, man. Everybody got to gel together and do more. I got to do more. Everybody, we got to do more. We got to do more and find a way to dig ourselves out this hole. We get a chance to go to Chicago, then you come back here against a divisional opponent that I'm excited about. We just got to do more. We're going to watch the film tomorrow, correct it. You know, 24-hour rule, get over it, move on to Chicago, and let's try to go to Chicago and get a win.
Yeah, and you know, just for perspective, so this is how I tracked it in weeks 1 and 2, and it was the exact same story in weeks 1 and 2. The Saints forced 8 instances of 3rd and 7 or longer. That's how I look at it. If you're in 3rd and 5 or shorter, it's like, okay, that's advantage offense. If you're in 3rd and 7 or longer, then that's advantage defense. And like 3rd and 6, you kind of just that kind of weird middle ground where I don't know, you kind of get lost. But I set it at 7 because that's how I view it. But either way, I don't think they had a 3rd and 6. But they forced 8 instances of 3rd and 8 or longer. They got off the field 3 times.
Yeah,
3. One of them was a penalty. It was a defensive pass interference, and it came immediately after the offensive pass interference, that kind of phantom offensive pass interference that, you know, I'm not as critical of it. Like, Stefan Diggs was blocking on the play. He did it really quickly at the beginning of the play. I think he forgot, or maybe he got confused with the call. Maybe he thought it was an RPO. Drake May was extending and he looked back. The issue wasn't necessarily the call. It was how late it came in, because here's the thing. If you're a wide receiver, you can block. It's not a penalty until the ball comes out. So Drake May was extending, so the flag's not going to get thrown right away. The problem is the flag didn't get thrown when the ball came out. The flag came in after the touchdown. So I don't blame Patriots fans for getting annoyed, but like, you look back and like, that is a penalty. Should he have called it? Probably not. I kind of like, I wish he'd just be like, forgot it. It's just like, you know what? It's too late. I'm not going to call it. But like, he just, you know, I don't know. Maybe he had something, but
it definitely seemed like one that went in the Saints' favor.
I mean, it was a penalty, but it's one that's like, just ignore it. Like, it did not impact the play at all. Like, I think there should be some level of, this penalty had nothing to do with the play that happened.
Result.
Why are we calling it?
Yeah.
Right. Like, I don't know. I hate away from the play penalties like that had made zero difference. The offense did not gain an advantage. That said, Diggs did mess up, and he blocked rather than running his route. He puts his arm out, then he looks back and he's like, oh shit, he pulls it back. Like, it was quick. It was a penalty. The ref was right there staring at it. And so he couldn't pretend he didn't see it. And that's why it got called. Either way, like, that's not what we're talking about. Like, the play after that was a 3rd and 12, and it was a defensive pass interference, and it was a good call. I mean, there was just a lot of instances where the cornerbacks just could not hold their water in coverage, and they were in decent position. They just panicked, or they didn't look at the ball. And again, you're relying on young players, and young players are trying to figure it out. And that's what happens. But you allow conversions on 5 of 8 instances of 3rd and 7 or longer. Drives are going to extend. And in both the first 2 drives, they forced a 3rd and 9 and a 3rd and 12. They got converted both times, and then there were long touchdown passes. Like, that's how you allow touchdowns on the opening possessions of 4 straight games, is you don't get off the field in 3rd and long. Against the Seahawks, they go, we're ready to get off the field. And what happens? Brian Brzee has a stupid penalty, and there's your touchdown right after that, right? Like, it just happens over and over and over again. And if you are, as a defense, cannot get off the field in those situations, you're a bad defense. Like, that's just what you are.
It's hard to argue. We've seen too much of that, though. And I don't know how they can get that second half production from the start of the game. And is it just because guys are getting warmed up, or you are adjusting to what you are seeing?
I mean, that's part of it. And these are scripted plays. Like, I think one of the issues is the Saints are having a really hard time accounting for unscouted looks in the scripted portion of the game. Like, the Patriots are going out there with a plan, and these plays are designed to attack your defense in ways that you're not ready. And yes, you do get beat in some of those instances. It's the second drive that's driving me nuts. KD does mention, like, how about that I think it was 3rd and 27. Actually, they had it at 3rd and 31 in the stadium, but I believe it was 3rd and 27. That was one of the 3 times they got off the field, and I think they got away with a pass interference on that play. And I don't know what the hell they were doing. Like, why are you leaving Quincy Riley on an island against anybody in that situation? Just back the heck up, make them throw underneath. Like, why? You have to give Drake May credit. Like, Drake May is good, and he is really good at throwing that deep ball. Like, he puts it on a dot. Even the incompletions or the offensive pass interference, like, it was like that ball is dotted. And his receivers, when your receivers trust you to make that throw consistently and on target and within a spot they can go make a play, I think that does lead to more big catches being made because they expect, it's like, okay, I got to go do this because they know what's going to happen. But yeah, it's a whole thing. Frustrating thing is the Patriots only scored 3 points in the second half, and you couldn't take advantage of that.
No, there's never that balance where both sides are helping each other simultaneously. It's one might be doing something, and then the other is failing the other. So, like, the offense and defense are definitely not cohesively together.
Yeah, and it's easy to point at Chase Young and be like, man, stock down. I'm not going to be stock down on Chase Young in his first game back. Like, you got to kind of bake in like an acclimation period, and it's frustrating, but they did force a lot of pressure in that game. I think they had 18 pressures on Drake May. They got the 1 sack, and it was Pete Werner who got the sack, but like kind of on a scramble, like just shy of the line of scrimmage. I also don't understand how Granderson doesn't get credit for a sack on that 4th down play. Like, it was a bad snap, but why would it not be a sack? Like, why would that be considered a run? I wouldn't be surprised if the NFL goes in and changes that as like a make good for the bad call in week 5 against the Giants. But
that was something.
Either way,
I was surprised how quiet it was from Granderson, though.
Yeah, I mean, they just didn't get Drake to the ground, right? Like, they forced pressure. He handled it well, and that's what I was the most impressed with. It was like there was plays from within the pocket I was impressed with, but how he navigated, kept his eyes downfield, and ran the play, right? Like, you look at a young quarterback and you think, oh, he's going to get frazzled. He's going to, you're going to make him move around. He's going to make mistakes. He didn't make mistakes. I didn't see a single mistake throw from in that game. And I didn't see there was one bad throw from Spencer in that game, and there was one turnover worthy play. Christian Ellis got a hand on it. And it's like, I probably wanted that one back. But otherwise, I thought Spencer played a near perfect game.
Well, the first play of the game could have been a touchdown.
Yeah. I mean,
I know I'm being picky on that.
Yeah. I guess it's like you threw a ball he could catch. If he puts it out too far in front, who knows if he gets it?
All right. I know.
Maybe it's just another example of a drop. So I don't know. I was bummed that Rashid didn't get any opportunities over the top.
Yeah.
I didn't really think Rashid was involved a ton. We're going to hear a lot about Devon Bailey. How involved is he being? I think he had 18 snaps in this game. I think that number is going to steadily increase. But yeah, I want to see him more involved. They didn't really get into the red zone enough to say like, he wasn't involved in the red zone, because I think they only got 1 trip, right? Maybe 2. They got 2 trips. The first one was 1 play, and it came after. So what happened was they did go to Valet in the red zone, and then that got called back for a penalty, and then they got a play that got them right to the edge of the red zone, and then they didn't convert. So that was technically a red zone trip, but it wasn't really a good opportunity in the red zone. So they really only had 1 legitimate trip into the red zone in this game. They scored on it. That said, like, if you consider like the red zone plus, which I would put out to the 30-yard line, they didn't execute there either. So, you see a lot of really positive football in between the 20s. And in the scoring area, you're just not getting it done. And it's tough to put it on the quarterback, but at the end of the day, when you look at what Spencer has done, and if you do end up making a quarterback change at some point, it's going to be in a large part because you're not scoring touchdowns. Like that's going to be that's the one part of Spencer Rattler's game that you look at and you're just like, I need more. And it's not all on him. Like he made a good throw to Olave. It should have been a touchdown. But this team's just not going to win games if they can't score touchdowns.
So now that the question becomes, I guess, again, too, besides, everyone wanting to bring up whoever's name as the trade deadline approaches for the team. But yeah, Spencer finally got that first win under his belt. But how many losses now is it going to take before you go, oh, it's time to see the, shuck and jive at it. It's time to put, the rookie in to see if he can do anything to, help improve scoring with this offense.
Yeah, I don't really want to get into that now. And it's not because I don't think it's worth talking about. I just think it's like it would take attention away from the fact that this game wasn't on Spencer. Right? Like, and I think it's really easy to look at me like loss. Okay, you got to change quarterbacks. But that's only to me, like that's why I say week 12 always kind of made sense. And it was only going to be if you get to that point and the season's basically over. And you kind of want to decide, hey, are we going to really go all in, throw our lot in with a quarterback, or are we going to trust one of these guys? Because I think the dream scenario is you get to the end, you get the number one pick, and you don't have to spend it on a quarterback. You can be the Bears.
Well, it's sad right now. I don't know if you saw the Saints are 1-5, but according to the Tankathon, we're just number 5. We have the number 5 overall pick in the draft right now. I'm like, how is that possible to be 1-5 and have the 5th pick in the draft? What a season!
Because the Fighting Aaron Glens exist.
Right.
But no, I mean, that's good. The Saints are going to win games, right? You got the Titans, you got the Dolphins. You're going to win one of these division games. I think you got the Jets. You're going to beat the Falcons one of these 2 times. I don't know if you. So I think your 4 wins is still very much on the table. And like the number 1 pick is not. I do just genuinely don't think they're going to be bad enough. Because they're going to learn. I don't
even know who the number 1 pick is anymore.
That's a good point. Like I don't know if it's a quarterback. But here's the thing, like this is a team that's going to figure out how to win games. They're going to get better. They're learning these lessons now, and that's going to serve them well down the road, but it's going to be too late for this season. By the time it gets like it's very much going to be you're ruining your draft pick late in the year because these lessons that you're learning now are going to come to roost later in the year. You're going to pick up wins against bad teams, some of whom are probably not putting their best foot forward to trying to win because they understand their draft scenario. And it's just going to be a question of what you need the most. But I don't know. I just get tired of talking about the same game over and over again because that's what this has been, is the same game, the same mistakes, critical mistakes by your star players. And
right. That's I think really disappointing too, because it's not just a name. This is like the guy, your guy on the offense here, and it's not coming through.
And I put star in quotes because you look at the Saints star players stacked up against other teams' star players. And, Bobby brings this up a lot. Like you could find rosters with 3 receivers who would start over either of your receivers. Running backs, tight ends, name it. Like there are star-laden rosters out there and yours isn't one of them. And it's frustrating, but that's just where you are. And that's why it's like, man, a high draft pick, that sure would be nice. But you also got to hit those picks when you make them.
Right.
So like, I will say, like, I like the rookies they have. I think they brought in talented young players, and you're going to build that out and you'll figure it out, but you're going to lose a lot of games in the process. And that's what this is. You're 1-5. Yeah. Anything else before we go to the stock down, I guess?
No, just overall that bitter taste is there for you. And, it's not going to get, I hate that cliche you say every week. And it's like, it's not going to get any easier this week. It never does. But I look at the Bears, man, and forget Caleb Williams. He's got a ton of weapons around him I'm worried about.
Yeah. Defense is going to be fired up. But
right.
Yeah, I mean, you could very easily go 0-3 over your next 3 games and hit the trade deadline at 1-8. Because, I mean, you got the Bucks coming in a week after that. There's the Falcons.
No, it's the Bucks. You're right.
It's the Bucks. Yeah. So you're getting You're getting the Bears, you're getting the Bucks, a team that just wins games. Regardless of everything that's happening, they just find ways to win games.
Whoever's around Baker, as long as he's in, they're all right.
Yeah, and then who do you have the next? And who do you have after that? It's another
at the
team.
Rams.
Oh, the Rams. Yeah, so then you go
and then
out
at Panthers,
west.
and the Panthers are playing better.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about the next 3 games for the trade deadline. It's like you could very easily get to the trade deadline at 1-8, and a guy like Pete Werner suddenly just feels like you're playing Danny Stutzman just to play Danny Stutzman. No. Pete Werner, Demario Davis, guys like that. I don't see how you could get offers for them and not feel like this is something that you probably have to do.
Well, then what about like the report too of, the interest in Kamara, and then the Saints went and talked to Kamara and he was like, nah, I'd rather stay. And they're like, okay.
Yeah. And here's the thing. If you have a veteran player like that, and it's an Alvin Kamara, who's been his whole career and is kind of a standard bearer, culture bearer for you, that's one thing. He doesn't want to leave. If he did, or if he was interested in it, yeah. I mean, I don't know where DeMario stands on that. DeMario wasn't drafted here. DeMario's played for 2 other teams. It's not like this is his, it's not like he's like, I want to play my entire career as a member of the Saints. So I think it's a little different for him compared to like a Cam Jordan, but we'll see. I don't know. But the fact is the Saints are going to be sellers. There's no question they're going to be sellers. It's just a question of how much they're going to be willing to sell and how much, I don't think they're going to be fire sellers, right? Like, I don't think you're going to be in a situation.
Right.
Like, you're not just throwing people out the door for nothing, right? But if someone comes in with an offer like the 49ers, they have to be desperate for some inside linebacker help at this point with Fred Warner going down. So why not just replace Warner with Werner?
That's pretty good.
Yeah. You barely even have to change. It's an A. You change the A to an E. You could basically just give him the jersey and just take the stitch off the E. Like, it would save you time.
Change one letter and one number on the jersey, and you're good.
Win-win. And I think Warner is actually pronounced closer to Werner than it is Warner. So it's like the fans can just start yelling the same. I don't know. Seems kismet to me, but
call Mickey up.
Yeah. All right. Let's do that. But all right, let's hit a break. We're going to come back, hit the stock down, then we'll close out with the stock up. Again, we're talking about Saints' 5th loss of the season. They are 1-5. They fell to the Patriots 25-19. I'm Jeff Nowak. He is Steve Geller. We're doing it again. Who dat? Go Saints. We will be right back. And we are back on Inside Black and Gold. Jeff Nowak here alongside Steve Geller. And it is time. We are back into the stock down part of the program. Saints lost. We get to this first. And so I'll let you start, Steve. What is your biggest stock down from this game?
I'm sorry to say that for all the praise we gave someone, I'm going to be hard on one of the rookies in the secondary. It was a rough outing for Jonas Sanker. So he was definitely in my stock down category. Just seemed to take the wrong angle on some things, and the coverage wasn't great. Overall, him and honestly Quincy Riley, both of the rookie DBs, we talk about the highs and lows of playing those young players and those rookies, and I felt like both of them just had a rough game.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't got a chance to go through the film yet, and it's always tough for me to assess safety play without the all-22 because I just don't know where they were aligned, where they were supposed to be, what their coverage responsibilities were. But no, there was a lot of miscommunication, it seemed like, in this game compared to what we had seen. And I don't know, like, my stock is still high in the young players, but the idea that they're not going to go out there and make critical mistakes, like that's the stock down for me, is the idea that they're going to go out there and hold up Like, why do you lean toward veterans? Is because you expect the baseline to be a little higher, and there's going to be games where the floor falls out on you when you're relying on young players. And so, like, I'm still really high on Jonas Sanker. I still feel like Quincy Riley has a lot to offer.
It was just this game is what I'm saying. That's why the stock's down.
Yeah, well, I mean, like they struggled in this game. The young defensive players struggled in this game, no question. And like I asked Keller more about the contested catches, because it's like we always seem to talk about contested catches on offense. Can you go up and make a contested catch? Well, what about on defense? Because that was where this game was lost, in my opinion. Was there were situations where both the defender and the offense and the receiver had probably an equal chance to go make a play on the ball, and the Patriots player got to it, and the Saints player did not. And this is what Kellen said when I asked him about that.
That's the catches a lot on offense, but from a defensive perspective, was that an area that you feel like kind of got away from you guys today?
They made the plays. They made the plays in those contested situations. The receivers were physical. They went and attacked the football, and they made some plays when they had to.
Yeah, and I mean that's the difference. Like the Patriots players made plays, the Saints players didn't make plays, and that's true on both sides of the ball. Like Kool-Aid, I thought had great coverage on Kayshon Boutte in the end zone on that second touchdown of the game, the second drive. I mean, go back and watch it. Like, I don't know if you can be any closer without drawing a penalty flag. Kayshon got to the ball. Kool-Aid didn't. I don't know. Maybe he didn't identify. Maybe he didn't locate the ball as early as you might have hoped, and that's part of the reason he wasn't able to get up and make a play on it. But those are critical moments in the game, and the difference there between a touchdown and a 14-point first quarter versus a 10-point first quarter, that's a big difference.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot. I mean, with the stock down category and the defensive side, just because, from the secondary, just up front overall, you mentioned pressures there, but man, it's with all those pressures you're talking about, I still don't feel like Drake May was uncomfortable at all. He was still delivering the ball with ease.
Yeah, Chase Young played 35 snaps. I think that's 55% of the defensive snaps.
And it's not just on him.
No, it's not. And I'm just saying, like, I think he was a little like Kellen Moore said he wasn't going to come in on a snap count. I think that was a lie. I think he was on something of not necessarily a snap. I think that's why it's not a lie in the sense that I don't think they went in with a number of this is the amount of snaps we're going to be willing to play him. And once he hits that's what a pitch count would mean is once you hit that number, you're done. And that's not how they were doing it. But I do think that there was probably personnel groupings that he will be in eventually that he was not in for this game. And so his impact was limited to a lot of those passing situations. And he was close. I mean, and that's been the problem with Chase Young since he's been here is it's like you can see him constantly around the quarterback. There was one play that, he had Drake May by the shirt. And he stretched it out, but he couldn't get to him. And Drake made a nice throw and completion. And, that's kind of the difference. And they did force him off the spot. Like, I think as you go, that's a positive thing. And, it's not just the one game for him. He's going to be here for a while. Like, you got to see him continue to improve. It is his first full game in that scheme. And, I think there's probably some rush integrity, some lane integrity that wasn't handled particularly well. But again, Drake just played well too. Like, you got to give him a lot of credit for escaping those situations and not just running, right? I think he had 9 runs in that game, but there was only one like long scramble. It was like he was escaping and then finding guys downfield. So it not only highlighted the lack of sacks and the lack of impact on the quarterback, it put a lot of pressure on the downfield coverage. And that's why, like, when you see young players constantly pulling the ball down and running, like, defenses don't mind that. Like, yeah, you don't want to constantly have to chase a guy, especially if it's like a Jaden Daniels and he can really make it hurt, or a Lamar Jackson. But when you have a Jackson Dart, for example, who is able to run and he's, way too quick to pull the ball down and scramble, like, the secondary is just like, all right, I'll come up and tackle you because I don't have to worry about that guy anymore. And it's when you have to cover for 8-10 seconds that you can create those bomb touchdowns. And, that's where Drake really made the Saints hurt. So I don't know.
I'm just tired of seeing perfect QB ratings in games too, late in games. The Saints have made everybody look good at QB this year.
That's true. They have. And when you actually do go against an elite quarterback, it's like, oh man,
really slice and dice, right?
Right. Like they took advantage of Jackson Dart a little bit. But yeah, it's like when a quarterback needs to get it done, they tend to get it done. It seems like.
Well, on that real quick, seeing the Giants against the Philadelphia Eagles, sure, it's a division opponent, but it was like, who the hell was that team?
Made you feel a little better about what the Saints did until they went out there and just, but
5 turnovers, baby.
But that's the thing, like take the ball away, man. When you can take the ball away, things change for you.
Right.
And the Saints have been very good about not turning it over. And in this case, it was, Jawan Johnson, which we'll talk about in a second. Like the Spencer Rattler continues to protect the ball on an elite level, and you'd love to be taking advantage of that. The other thing the Saints are elite at right now is having all their players, but it's not leading to wins, which is driving me nuts. Like all these years, like you look at like 2018, 2019, 2020, and it's like, man, if they just had like reasonable health, they might win a Super Bowl. Like they have a good chance to win a Super Bowl. Like even 2018, we talk about the no call, like Mike Thomas is playing with a broken bone in his hand. Like it was like every year it seemed like there's an injury. Drew Brees is getting ribs cracked and it just feels like by the end, that 2020 divisional round game, Taysom Hill wasn't playing in that game because he had a concussion, I believe. And it was like there was always one key injury that seemed like it prevented you from winning. In this case, you're as healthy as you've been. This was the first time all season that you got through a game with all 5 starting offensive linemen, but you're not taking advantage of it. Meanwhile, you look at the Bucs and it feels like half their roster is on IR and they're still winning games. 49ers I feel like their entire roster is on IR and they lost to the Bucs yesterday, but they're still finding ways to win with backups. Saints can't do it with their starters. And that's not good. It's good in the sense that, you feel like the strength and conditioning program is getting their players where they need to be, but
don't feel bad at all. But yeah, the Niners definitely feel like they're cursed this year.
Yeah. In a lot, 2 years, the same thing as last year.
Right.
But no, so let's talk, Jawan is, and I've been, I think the criticism of Jawan after week 1 is a little overblown in the sense that like he had a really good game and it was just one really difficult catch that he didn't make.
He got hit by an automobile, right?
In the last 2 weeks, you haven't seen him very involved, and I wonder how much the ankle injury from week 4 has been affecting him because it just seems like he hasn't been. Not only has he not been making an impact, he hasn't been targeted. Like, it just seems like I think he's playing through something, but he wasn't even on the injury report this week, was he? Actually, yes. I think he might have been.
He was.
He was on the injury report with the ankle, but he was a full participant by the end of the week. He didn't have a game day designation, and
the only reason I remember is just because there was like 4 ankles on the list.
Yeah, they're in the contagious ankle injury part of the season.
Right.
But no, and so like he's not making a big impact in terms of target share as like he was in the beginning of the season. And then it's like, man, I just need you to secure that ball. And to be fair, Christian Ellis made a great play on the ball. Like you got to give Christian Ellis credit for punching that ball, which is not an easy thing to do, but Jawan's got to have 2 hands on it. Come on.
I wondered, like at first, like when his head hit the ground, did he conk out for a second?
No. Yeah, I mean, I can understand why you said that, but they didn't put him in the concussion protocol at all.
Right.
So clearly they didn't feel like there was any sign of that. And I've watched the replay at least 20,000 times at this point, and the more I watch it, the more I understand why they overturned it. It's just like it gets frustrating because the Saints never seem to get the advantage of call stands.
Right. Actually, we made a mistake, and replay has showed this is in favor of the Saints. Never.
I could understand if these were all called a fumble on the field, or like Brandon Cooks was called an incompletion on the field, or But like when Theo Johnson fumbled the ball going out of bounds against the Giants, it was like, oh yeah, it's still a catch. Like what?
What?
What do you mean it's still a catch? And then I don't know, like. You think just one time they would get the benefit of a call stance? And I don't know. I think that's like, I want them to get the benefit of having the black jerseys where you can't really see anything, because that's what it is. If he was wearing a white jersey, if he was wearing the Patriots jersey, you would see every millimeter that ball moved, and it would have looked like it was moving. I think because he was wearing a black jersey, it really didn't look like it was moving that much. But the more you kind of look at it, he did punch it. It came out. Juwan couldn't. It looked like he resecured it.
Right. That's what I was going to say there. It did get jostled loose, but it looked like he kind of resecured it. But once that ball's loose and you see him going to the ground, I guess you have that perception that it's not secured.
There wasn't enough time for him to resecure it. It only looks like he resecured it because it's in super slow-mo, right?
And against his body, kind of.
Yeah. And then it immediately comes out when he hits the ground.
Right.
So, and it's I can't be too mad at the refs because they gave the Saints a few favorable calls in that game. Olave had a fumble that they called incompletion. That I'm surprised Vrabel didn't challenge it, because it was the difference between getting the ball at the 24 and getting the ball at the and allowing the Saints to punt from the 47. But maybe he just could see the future and knew that Kai Kroger was going to hit a 23-yard punt. And we'll talk more about the special teams in a second. But you talk about, hey, I need my star players to make star player plays, and they're just not getting that. And
yeah, the Olave Juwan hate is definitely large on a Monday.
Yeah. It is what it is. And I don't know. I like Juwan. I think Juwan is a good player. He just hasn't been an X factor for you. He hasn't been a game swinging presence at all. And
it does feel like something's wrong.
Huh?
It does feel like something's wrong. I don't know if the ankle is he's playing through it.
I think the ankle is limiting him. I do think that. He's looked like a different player since the ankle. But the ankle didn't affect his hands.
Right.
The ankle didn't affect his grip on the ball. And I don't know, has he fumbled a lot in his career? I can't remember if he's had any other key fumbles. I'm mixing. It's funny because I have a hard time differentiating him from Jared Cook. Not because they're similar players, but because I've seen that fumble before. I've seen that exact fumble in a critical moment in the third quarter of a game, or I guess that was the fourth quarter of the game. But you understand what I'm saying? It looked identical, and it was the same part of the field. First down, instead going the other way.
Is it weird that a Juwan Johnson for the Saints and a Juwan Johnson for LSU fumbled this week?
Juwan Johnson, spelled differently though.
Yeah, spelled differently.
Yeah, and so it is what it is, and he needs to play better. They're not trading Juwan. I know people trade Juwan. They're not trading Juwan. He's a guy that you need to improve, and we'll see how that goes. But there's a few more that I want to get to. I went into this game talking about special teams, and the coverage has been a problem for this team. It just has. I was talking to someone pregame. And they're like, why do we cut JT Gray? And here's the thing. I think one of the reasons you cut JT Gray was because they drafted Jonas Sanker, and they were like, this guy's going to be elite on special teams. He might not play a ton as a rookie, but he's going to be one of our core special teamers. He's going to be one of our gunners. He's going to be out there making plays constantly, making special teams tackles. And then in week 1, Julian Blackmon goes down for the year, and suddenly Jonas Sanker is your starting safety and is not playing special teams anymore because he's a rookie, and you need him to focus all of his energy on being your starting safety. So instead of having Jonas Sanker on special teams, you now have whoever else, and I don't think anyone's delivered. You know what I mean? I think that's something when you talk about why did they cut JT Gray, they felt like they had a real strong special teams guy in Jonas Sanker, but he's not playing there. And I think that's part of it. But they came into this game 32nd out of 32 teams in average kickoff return yards allowed. Dead last. They just have not been good at it. Part of that's on the kicker, because I think there's been instances where they tried to bounce it and they kicked it short. So now they're not trying to bounce it. They're just trying to drop it on him. And, So where did those kicks land? Blake Grupe kicked off 6 times. One of them, the first one was a touchback, so that goes out to the 35. Not the end of the world, but like that's a 35. It's really not that much better than kicking it out of bounds. Like, the 35 is ideal. Then he had kickoffs to the 7, the 4, the 2, the 3. So not terrible, right? He got the job done in that regard. But the first kickoff, it was returned to the 31, so it's 24 yards. The second kickoff was returned to the 35, so it's 28 yards. The third kickoff, I'm sorry, I'm one behind. The fourth kickoff was returned to the 27, so 23 yards. The fifth kickoff, which was the opening kickoff of the second half, he kicked it to the 2, but it was returned to the 29, but there was a face mask penalty, so they started that drive at the 44. That was their only scoring drive of the second half, and they got the ball to start at the 44-yard line. The final kickoff, which was the one after his 54-yard field goal, was to the 3. It was returned to the 35, so it was a 32-yard return, but there was an offensive holding penalty on the Patriots, or a hold on the return team, so it was brought back to the 20. So the only kickoff of the game that they were able to pin them inside the 27-yard line was because of a Patriots mistake. And you could say, hey, they forced a penalty, whatever, but it was a mistake by the other team as opposed to you went and made a play. Like, you couldn't even get them at the 20 one time. Meanwhile, you go back to last week, and the Saints' average field position to start after kickoffs was the 15-yard line. They started all 3 drives at the 20 or in. When's the last time you saw a team face the Saints after a kickoff and start at their 20-yard line? It's been a while. Their average starting field position in that game after kickoffs, which there was 6 of them, was the 32-yard line. So, like, that's bad. It's bad. Bad. Like,
it's just a whole mishmash of bad, and that's why you have a 1-5 record.
It's part of the reason. Like, you talk about, okay, we're playing all these close games, and we don't have all the playmakers, and maybe we're a few pieces away
just a little bit.
Like we have them. And then there's margins, like Kellamar talked about. Hey, we're losing in the margins. Well, one of those margins is the other teams have elite starting field position on almost every single one of their drives. Then on the other side, Saints aren't really getting it done either. Like, Mason Tipton took over in the kickoff return game, and they did find a way to get the ball to Mason Tipton every time, which I found interesting. Because if that's the case, then send Rashid back there. But you know, you replaced him with Velus Jones. I don't know. Like, there was a few decent returns in there, but nothing elite. So
watch out. People are going to be calling for him to come up to the offense with the drops going on.
Velus?
No, Tipton.
Oh, Tipton. Yeah, I mean, he has been on the offense. I think he had 1 catch in this game. I believe he did have 1 catch in this game. It was his first of the season. But that's not even just it. Like, you talk about special teams mistake, and it's like every week you see, like, God. And Kai Kroger, like, the offense was moving the ball, so you didn't ask him to punt very, very much. He didn't punt in the first half. His first punt came in the third quarter, and it came immediately after that Chris Olave incompletion that I think, if Vrabel challenges, is overturned to a catch and a fumble, and they got the ball on the return or on the recovery. But you ask him to go out there from the Patriots 47-yard line. Not only does he not pin them inside the 10 or the 5, he didn't even get it into the 20. He kicked a 23-yard punt. They took over the ball at their 24-yard line. You actually lost yards by him not just booming it into the end zone.
Ugh.
In what universe? How can that happen?
Yeah, that's just ugliness, man.
I can punt the ball 23 yards. I promise you. I played goalie. I could do it. Oh, man. Like, you're better off lining up and pretend you're going to go for it and having Spencer Pooch punt it. If that's going to be your, like, it's just frustrating. And these are opportunities. Like, that's an opportunity that you had. Like, punting from plus territory isn't the end of the world, because if you can execute and you can pin that team inside their 5, you're probably getting the ball back in plus field position. Like, you send your defense out there and they make a play. Maybe they get a safety. I don't know. Like those are opportunities for your defense to go make a play. If they get the ball to 24, that's just basically a turnover. And that's, again, like, every week I come out and I'm just like, man, the special teams units are not winning you anything.
Yeah, I don't think that gets talked about enough, probably because of the offense and defense deficiencies.
Right. You talk about hidden yardage. There's nothing
Right.
hidden about this. This is very clear yardage that you're losing. Yeah. So I got one more, but do you have one more before we go?
No, go ahead. Hit me.
Second time this year that the Saints went into halftime with all 3 of their timeouts in a situation where I felt like they should have used at least one of them.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Yeah, you were going to go for it. Spencer takes a sack, but you have 3 timeouts. It's first down. So you could have taken a timeout. There's 15 seconds. You got 2 timeouts. That's one chance to get 20 yards, however long it takes. And you take a timeout there or you let it go. But, like, why not? What's the harm? I mean, like, yes, he could throw an interception, but
you're scared for the
Patriots
mistake. That's what it feels
put up
like.
22 points in the first half. Like, you got to try. And your kicker can make it from 60. You know he can. Now, is that a high percentage opportunity? No, but, like, all you got to do is get it to the 42-yard line,
right,
to give him a chance. So all you need is one 20-yard completion. If you call that timeout after the sack, you have 15 seconds. If you don't get the completion, then sure, take a knee, send it to the break, right? The Patriots aren't going to call a timeout so they can get the ball back with 7 seconds left. But not taking it, just saying, we'll get them next time. You don't get the ball after halftime. Like, that was the excuse in week 1 when they did it, was you're getting the ball back after halftime. That wasn't the case here, right? 3 points in that situation would have been huge. And just not even trying for it, I don't like that. I really don't.
Yeah, you figured you'd want to be a little more aggressive in the situation, but that it seems the case where Kellen's much more comfortable with, all right, I'm not gonna risk it and push the ball down the field in that scenario and put the QB in danger of throwing the pick.
Yeah, but that's just a sign of being scared of your own offense. And
yeah,
again, like,
right. No, I get it.
Common denominator here says if an INT is thrown or something within those 15 seconds, you go into the half and morale is down even more. I don't know. If it's thrown downfield and it doesn't affect the game, whatever. But, like, I need my offense to feel like I trust it. And I just don't get the sense at times that Kellen Moore trusts his offense. And I think that's a big reason why you're not scoring touchdowns in the red zone, because you're not being aggressive. And I don't know, like, I guess if valuing the ball in those situations is really important, you got to score points to win games.
More specifically, 6 points.
Yeah, and they just put up an octopus on you. That means 8. They got 8 points there. And I guess it's only technically an octopus if the same guy who scored the touchdown gets the 2-point conversion. So I guess Drake May technically got an octopus, but that's my last one.
Now we get to go into stock up. That should be a short segment.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm only being critical of this. Like, again, like, on its face, like, this one is not as egregious as the first one. I'm just being critical of this one because it's the second time it's happened. And I'd like to think that the first time you're just like, yeah, I'd do that differently the next time. You didn't.
No, and I think that trust factor is key and the major reason there. And I can't argue with it right now. It's just sad that's the case.
I agree. But that's all my negatives. We've been super negative, but I guess you're 1-5. You got to be negative, right? I want to be positive. My default setting is positivity.
I hear you, and I don't think the people that are listening here want to hear all kinds of, well, they're doing this great. They're playing tough and they're in games. They don't give up. They play with a lot of heart.
They are, man. They are. That's what next segment is for.
Right, exactly.
That's why we save it for last. Let's send people into the darkness with positive thoughts in their brains.
Yes, exactly.
But all right, this is Inside Black and Gold. I'm Jeff Nowak. He is Steve Geller. We're gonna hit a break. We're gonna come back and we're gonna talk about some nice things with some sunshine and rainbows, some glitter and candy. It is Halloween coming up. So. Sorry,
I said don't blink. You might miss the segment.
There's some good. Here's the thing. That's what makes it so frustrating is there are some good things to talk about, but we can never talk about them because it's all bad all the time. Anyway, let's hit a break. We'll be right back. Inside Black and Gold, Jeff Nowak, Steve Geller, who dat, blah, 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 blah.
Blah, 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 blah.
And we are back.
Real quick, Jeff, we got our first head coach firing of the NFL season. Ding, 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 ding.
Really?
Yeah, Tennessee Titans moving on from Brian Callahan.
Wow.
What a mess over there.
Wow. I'm good.
Wow.
That's my Owen Wilson.
Yeah.
Wow. There's a Spotify playlist.
I thought it was going to be the Dolphins, but it ends up being the Titans pulling the trigger first.
Interesting. Yeah. Week 6, man. They must have really been unhappy with how things had gone.
It could be worse.
Did they fire his dad too?
I don't know.
It'd be funny if his dad was the interim head coach. Oh. Okay. Anything else? Can we start the segment now?
We can start the segment. I was just coming in with that hot news from the NFL.
Some hot goss.
Yeah.
Got some hot goss. Anyway, all right. And we're back on Inside Black and Gold. Jeff Nowak here alongside Steve Geller. We did all the mean negative stuff. Now let's talk about some positive stuff. Because it wasn't all bad. There was a lot of bad, but it wasn't all bad. And the first one for me, and I'll just start here, is this one of the kernels of positivity that the Saints are going to move forward with after this season, regardless of how the rest of it goes, is you got a lot of investment in this offensive line group. And this was the first time all season that all 5 starters finished a game together. I don't know. I thought they played pretty well. I'll have to go back and watch the tape to really decide how I feel about it. But I didn't think the pressure in that game was crazy. Kelvin Banks had one rough play. He got called for a hold. There was a couple sacks. I don't know how much of the pressure that was. Trevor Penning, I thought, got beat a couple times, but nothing crazy. I thought Cesar Ruiz played well. The Tally Fuaga, I thought, played well. And like, that's the group that, it's tough because like, are they perfect? No, but like one of the reasons they're not perfect is because they have like very little time together. So like, that's the group that I really want to build into something special. And I think that was kind of the first step. And I talked to Cesar about that after the game. It's like, they're excited. They feel like they're better when they're all out there. And I think you saw that, like the Saints, I wouldn't say they ran the ball particularly well, but they did get push, right? Like they were able to generate some positive plays on the ground. You were behind the whole game, so you didn't get to run the ball as much as you probably wanted to. But yeah, I mean, like that's a positive thing for me is I think that offensive line group, and we'll have to see what they do with Trevor Penning after this season. But like, I think if you can come out of this season feeling like you have the offensive line set pretty well and you just want to add a few pieces to it in the draft, I think that's a major plus for this season. And this is the first game we got to really watch it.
Yeah, I'm happy that we're talking about the O-line and not completely just taking a dump on Cesar Ruiz. He's been having it tough, man. Like you talk about the streets of the social media sphere, and folks, they're headhunting for. He's one of the names out there that they want gone. And then we saw an outing from Torricelli Simpkins that ended up with a 0 grade. You pointed out from PFF, and it was like, oh my God.
Oh, you froze.
Oh.
You froze in a very unfortunate situation. You're just like, yeah, it wasn't a 0 grade overall. It was a 0 pass blocking grade, which I don't bring down the rest of your scores pretty quick.
Sure.
Like that's going to affect his whole, like he's going to have a season long grade of like something because it's a 0. But no, I mean, and I want to say this in the most reasonable way possible. Like he's a UDFA and he's not going to be perfect. And my only issue with the Torricelli Simpkins takes is that it makes it very clear. Like when I see people say like, "Oh, he played great," and I'm just like, "Did you watch it?" Like, because he didn't play terribly, but he's a UDFA, and there's going to be struggle points, and there were a lot of struggle points against the Giants. But I see people who are like, "Oh, he played fantastic," and it's like, that means you didn't go back and watch it all? Because I think if you watched even the first play of the game, you'd be like, "Well, that was rough." But either way, like Caesar is a better. It's wild that I have to say this. Cesar Ruiz is a better player than Torricelli Simpkins, and that doesn't mean Torricelli Simpkins can't develop into a quality NFL player. But like, there's just this kind of vibe that Caesar's the worst thing that's ever happened to this football team, and he's just not.
No, I'm more concerned with the guard move is really helping him.
I'm sorry, say that again.
I'm more worried with Penning, honestly, just because I don't know if he's really found a home either at the guard position.
Yeah, it's a second, third start, so we'll see. At some point, I want to go and kind of take a deep dive on how he's played, and we'll see. Simpkins was inactive for this game, so Dylan Radins was the backup guard. And I saw people be surprised about that, and I understand like why, but just because of the vibes around it. But like I wasn't necessarily surprised with Radins in there, because he's a veteran and he makes sense as your backup. And I actually think Radins has played reasonably well when he's been in there at guard. But either way, like I like Simpkins as a depth piece, I do, and I like him as a developmental piece. But that's what he is. He's a depth developmental piece that you're going to continue to, and I think those reps will be invaluable for him as we go forward. I hope that he doesn't have to start again. And I say that with all positivity, because if he has to start again, it means that injuries have piled up again, and you hope that doesn't happen. I did talk to Caesar, and I was like, "Hey, did you expect to be back this quickly after what was reported to be a high ankle sprain and was not refuted?" And he was just like, "Yeah."
Okay.
He said it's the Caribbean blood. It just got those Gumby ankles that just snap right back.
Interesting.
I mean, it was kind of joking, but like,
right.
It was impressive. He said he's like feeling fine. It's really not an issue for him at all. Which, like, he was in a lot of pain when he came off the field. So we'll see. But either way, like, I think that group, the sum of those 5 players can be better than the individual players on their own, right? And that's what an offensive line is. It's a group. So that's just one of my stock ups. Is like I felt like I was happy with how that group played as a group. And you can nitpick on individual performances as you go.
Yeah.
But like that's what you like. That's what I felt like the Saints had going for them for a long time, is they always had this kind of really effective 1 through 6. And when one guy had to go out, you felt like you could plug a guy in and you wouldn't really miss a beat. And I just don't know if they've had that over the past few years. And when you have all your starters, you can start focusing in the draft on the depth. And, a day 2 pick can suddenly be a guy that you profile as, hey, he's going to be an elite 6th option or 7th option. So that when a guy does go down, you aren't relying on a guy who's untested at the NFL level or has, is like, oh, he's a UDFA. Let's see what he has. Like, you have actual quality NFL depth, and you got to have the starters before you can build that depth.
Yeah, the O-line, I mean, we want it to be the strength since they've invested so much in it. And I guess, there was at least a little bit of positive momentum there. Still, kudos to Spencer for being good at avoiding some of that pressure that was coming up the gut.
Yeah, how many pressures did he actually face? Let's see. Where is it? Oh, it'd be under the advanced stats.
I thought you were going to lead with Spence as a stock up right off the bat.
I'll definitely talk about Spencer. He's definitely in there, but like it's just tough to be like super like fantastic when you've lost 5 or 6 games, right? But I don't put it on him. I think it'd be under the defensive stats. I can't find it. This is gonna bother me.
Tracking down the numbers. Jeff Nowak.
I don't like that. Yeah, I'll find it. Either way, like I don't know how much pressure he faced. He did get sacked twice. The one before the half was frustrating because if you just throw that ball away, maybe I guess it probably wouldn't have mattered if Kellen probably would have. He couldn't. But here's the thing: if you throw the ball away, he couldn't have let the clock tick down. So he would have at least had to call another play. Taking the sack just allowed him to let it tick. And here's the thing. But we'll talk about Spencer. But the first one, okay, Blake Grupe desperately. I was very hard on special teams.
Sure.
Blake Grupe desperately needed a game where he just made all his kicks. Didn't kick one short of the landing zone on the kickoff. Just felt positive coming out of a game. And going into it, Phil Galliano was like, hey, we're behind Blake Grupe. We're not changing kickers. He said he pulled some film from the preseason and he showed it to him and he was like, this is the swagger I want. This is who you are. We need that guy back. And I don't know, he looked like it. And what stood out to me in this game was not that he just made the kicks, was that, what made his preseason, his training camp so impressive was not that he just made them. It was that every one seemed to split the uprights. They didn't even flirt with missing. And it was in this case, the last couple of weeks, it's you see it, he starts it down the middle and then, tails left to right. And that's just not how his kicks are supposed to go. And so we saw him get back to kind of that routine. And the 48-yard kick, I was actually more worried about than the 54-yard kick because he had actually gone 0 for 2 from 40 to 49 to that point in the season. You asked him to kick 4 times, which is too many, but 4 for 4. It's just funny how kickers go, right? Because 4 for 6 sounds terrible, even if one of those misses was from 52. But then 8 for 10 with 2 for 3 from 50 plus sounds pretty good. So it's just funny how that can change from week to week. But I like Blake. He's one of my more liked players on this roster, just in terms of his personality and what he brings to the team. He's a captain for a reason. So it was cool to see him get there.
Sadly, this is kind of another thing we saw in fantasy, in training camp, was this fantasy aspect of it where, your offense's leading scorer in this game, 13 points of their 19. And just overall, putting points on the board for this team instead of coming away with 0. That was huge. Glad he had a perfect day. So hopefully the arrow continues to go out for Blake because he's going to be used a lot.
He has attempted the most kicks. That's the thing. I told people, hey, one of the reasons you want Blake is not just that he's going to make his kicks, but because he's going to be asked to kick a lot. And to this point in the season, he has the most field goal attempts of any NFL kicker. He has 19. The next closest is 17. Now he's made 15 of them, which is he made 14 of them, which is a lower number than you'd like. You'd like that to be 17. You're not going to make every kick. You'd like that to be higher, but you're also asking him to kick too much. Either way, if you took my advice and kept him in fantasy, he's delivered for you each of the last 2 weeks. He's made 8 field goals in the last 2 weeks. But one thing that happened in this game was did you notice they turned off the screen when he was kicking?
I didn't really until I saw the tweets today about that. And I was like, interesting.
Yeah, they blacked it out and put fleur-de-lis on it. And I'm curious. He's always gone from the locker room by the time I can get in there, but I need to ask him if he requested that or if that was just something they did. Because I imagine they're going to keep doing it. But I don't think they're going to do it on the road. So hopefully that's not something that really affects him. But
no, let's groupies can come back at least for a week.
Yeah. Okay, one more, and then we can talk about Spencer Rattler because this is going to be a quick one. Run defense. One of the reasons you forced so many 3rd and longs and you were kind of elite in getting into 3rd and long is that this was one of probably the best run stuffing day I have seen from this defense in a while. Both teams had exactly 73 rushing yards. The difference is the Saints only ran it 23 times, while the Patriots ran it 31 times. They averaged, what was it, about 3-point-something yards per carry. I thought I had it, but I don't. They average about, man, where is it? I'm not good at having the stats on hand. What's 73 divided by 31, Steve? 2.3.
Okay.
They averaged 2.3 yards per carry in this game. Ramondre Stevenson had 18 yards on 13 carries. That's 1.4 yards per carry. A big chunk. 20 of the Patriots' 73 yards came on one Drake May scramble. It was the play right before I was on the first drive of the second half. It got them down inside the red zone for that drive that ended in a field goal. So, I mean, like if you're talking about just running back runs, it was ugly. And that's why the Saints were able to stay in this game, because the Patriots really weren't able to ever generate anything on the ground. So when you were able to get pressure on Drake in the pocket and the secondary was able to hold up in coverage, you were able to get off the field. When they were able to hit big plays, you were not. But they weren't taking you to task on the ground, and that's a positive thing for a defense. And that's, when this I hope and I expect the young secondary players to improve. I hope and expect the pass rush to improve as Chase Young gets more into the system. And with that in mind, the run defense being stout should go a long way in terms of eventually kind of get this sorted out. So I thought that was a good thing.
Yeah, I guess throw in there, nice to see a pretty good game from Godchow.
Yeah, it's not often you see a nose tackle leading the team in tackles.
Right.
He also had a tackle for loss and a forced fumble. They didn't recover the fumble. But yeah, good for him against his former team. Maybe there was some extra energy in there. But yeah, so you wanted to talk about Rattler. Let's get on to Rattler. Tell me your Rattler takes.
Just like to see the consistency of how he's been doing this season. In no way, shape, or form that I think, going into the year, the arrow is going up with him and it was just going to stay there. He steadily looks like a guy that's just improving, keeps being smart with the football. And I don't know. I feel like the guys around him are rallying to try and get that win, but it's just so, that gut shot when he gets those drops in certain, those scenarios. And especially this week, man, that the surefire touchdown that Olave's got to bring in.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the numbers. You're talking 20 for 26, 227 yards, 8.7 yards per attempt, which is a higher number than we've seen for him. It's good to see him getting a little bit more aggressive down the field, still getting the ball out. I did find the pressure number. He was pressured 14 times in the game, 2 sacks. It's a lower number than it was last week against the Giants. I think it was 17. He was pressured on 46.7% of his dropbacks. But yeah, if Olave catches that ball and you're 21 for 26 for 247 yards and a touchdown, your quarterback rating is up into 125, 130 range. Instead, it's 102.6. It's the second time in his career that he's up over 100. The other time was against the 49ers in week 2 with the 3 touchdowns in the red zone. No, I mean, it's hard to be upset. I thought he handled zone coverage really well in this game. Like, he dissected it well. He identified it. He found the soft spots in the zones. And again, like, I think if you don't have that fumble there from Juwan, I think they go down, they score a touchdown, they take the lead, and they may still lose the game. I didn't have a ton of faith that if they did score a touchdown there, that the defense wasn't going to allow the Patriots to drive down and get a field goal.
Right.
But, it's just frustrating that you never got to that point. There was another drop by Olave. You have to call it a drop. He kind of jumped when he didn't need to jump and kind of just threw the ball to the ground. It was weird. That would have been a first down. Instead, it's a third down. They don't convert and you punt. They don't get the ball back for a potential game tying drive. And so, like, I don't know. Like, it just felt like he got let down in that game. And yeah.
It's tough because, you hear with the quarterback position so much. It's about them making the guys around them better. And sadly, that getting the ball to these guys, I just can't understand what's been the problem with the drops. It's not like it's a speed ball coming at you. There's been that in the past, but just so many of these drops, it can't be just like lack of concentration or the focus isn't there. But you're getting a lot of people riled up at this point where what is this guy going to have to do to get a reliable go-to guy right now? You don't have one.
Yeah. I mean, that's just what it is. You're not going to find someone, bring him in and It's just you just really want someone to be reliable and make those big catches in those big moments, right? I do think it's funny. Like we do kind of understate, that catch in the end zone. It's like it's a tough catch. It's not an easy catch. Like I think one of my pet peeves is acting like making a catch like that should be routine. It's not. It's
You
a
mean
very
Olave?
difficult catch. Yes, the touch in the end zone. Like it's not a routine catch. It's a very difficult catch, but it is a catch that you expect your star wide receiver to make.
Amen.
Right? And if it's Mason Tipton down there and he doesn't pull it in, I'm like, okay, well, it's Mason Tipton. No offense to Mason Tipton, but he's not a guy I expect to go make that play. Right? I expect Chris Olave to make that play. And if you want to be paid like a wide receiver one, you got to go make that play. And that's going to be what we get to the end of the season. We say, how much are they going to pay him?
Yeah.
I mean, they're paying him $15 million next year regardless, but they're going to have to make a decision sooner rather than later on like wide receiver one money, $30 million a year, high 20s.
Ain't no way, dude. No way.
Yeah, it's tough.
There's no way in HE double hockey sticks.
But you got to have somebody, right? So who are you going to replace him with? Are you going to draft another guy in the first round? Are you going to deal with a rookie? Are you going to do all that? Are you going to go on the free agent market and try to pay somebody? You know what? Like, and that's the question. Would it be worthwhile to you to pay your guy or to say like, hey, if we're going to pay $30 million to a wide receiver, I have a feeling like there's going to be someone on the free agent market we could pay $30 million to and get him to come here.
Or
are they going to be a better option? Right? You trade for AJ Brown, somebody like that. Like,
right.
I don't know, but it's
that he's not making these grabs doesn't make me want to open up the vault to pay him top tier money. There's no way in hell.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. There's a lot of time left in the season, there's a lot of time for him to change his narrative.
Tick, tick, tick.
But yeah, it hasn't gone the way to start that you had hoped. And yeah, a few more guys I do want to mention. Taysom Hill got his touchdown. I do kind of feel like Taysom is still finding his way back. I don't think Taysom is.
I feel like he's almost like the Tin Man, and we got to oil him some more. We need to let him loosen up some.
Yeah, I don't see the burst. He's kind of Deuce talked about this on the broadcast. He's been rounding off his cuts. Like there have been times that he's kind of stretching out, and like there's the gap, and he just needs to put his foot in the ground and hit it. And he's like one gap heavy, and then he gets there, and it's like he's still Taysom. He's still got that power. Mm-hmm. So he's able to he scored that touchdown, even though he didn't really hit the hole where it probably should have been, because it's a really difficult play to defend, and he's really good at, he's strong, right? But I think one of the reasons you didn't see him get a ton of reps in that game is because he's still working his way back. And I don't know if maybe who's to say that his knee wasn't sore this week, and maybe like all that work last week kind of had an effect on it. I don't know, but we'll see. Either way, it was cool to see him get back in the end zone. It's still a weapon in that part of the field, even if he's not the same guy he was last year pre-injury right now. Mm-hmm. Either way, good for him. Like, how easy that touchdown was just goes to show you how big of a weapon he is down at the goal line. And unless you're a Kamara or Kendre Miller fantasy owner, you're 100% okay with that happening.
Shoot, I mean, if you own anybody in fantasy land on the Saints right now, I feel bad for it. You're not getting the touchdowns.
Is your son home for Columbus Day or something?
No. Why?
I guess
breaking up.
Indigenous Peoples Day. I'm wondering if he's like playing Call of Duty or something. Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit, but
no, there's no PS in action. I got a clear signal. Nobody's home.
Okay. Well, I don't know, man. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's on my end. Claire is home, so maybe she's
because you haven't done like the Max Headroom jostle at all. So I don't know. It probably is my end then.
Max Headroom. Yeah. So what were you saying for?
Just talking about the, Saints receivers needing to come up for their quarterback, make a damn play. And we just don't really have those playmakers right now that you do. They just haven't been a guy like Shaheed, which makes, you can't feed everybody all the time though. basically Olave, Juwan Johnson, big time letdowns in this game for sure. And just overall this season have had too many moments where fans have been able to jump on top of them.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Couple others. Brandon Cooks is an interesting case on this team because he's not getting a lot of pass catching opportunities, and he's at the point in his career where you can't expect to get 5 to 8 targets a game. But he is at the point in his career where to be on this roster and to get on the field, when the ball does come to you, you better freaking catch it. And I do have to give him credit because he got targeted once in that game, and it was a really nice 21-yard gain. It got that one of their late game drives started. So again, what you can't do in that situation is be the veteran player who's here for leadership and then not make the catch when you get your opportunity. And so I do want to give him credit because it's not easy to go out there and run all these routes and not get the ball thrown to you, right? No one likes that. So for him to not get a target all day and then get a difficult opportunity in the fourth quarter and haul it in a pretty critical moment. It was 2nd and 7 deep in Saints territory. They needed a play to jumpstart that drive. Obviously, it didn't end in a touchdown, but you needed someone to make a play like that to get things rolling. And so I do want to give him credit because I thought that was a really big catch and a big moment for a guy that couldn't have been feel like he was in rhythm. He's just been jogging around all day. He's just been running. He's been doing cardio all game.
No, he's largely been absent this year, unfortunately.
Yeah, but I don't think it's because you're trying to feature other guys, right? So but when he's been thrown to, he's made plays. So you got to give him credit for that. It's not like he's been dropping balls. The one he made that catch. I maintain that he made that freaking catch against the Bills on that terrible throw. But I mean, what are his stats? Let's just look on the season. He's got that's the wrong end.
No touchdowns, unfortunately. I know that one
because they stole one from him. He's got 13 catches on 17 targets. One was that ball in the end zone, and which he made about as good of a play on it as you could hope for a guy to make. The fact that he made it even close enough that they called it a touchdown on the field was a great play. So I don't know, you can't expect too much out of Brandon Cooks. He's 32 years old. He's the veteran in the room, but he has made the plays when called upon. So I don't know. I feel like that's all I can ask out of Brandon Cooks at this point because you're not throwing the ball.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to put him in a stock up when he's just an afterthought to me.
But he's not an afterthought. He's out there blocking. He's out there running, making plays. So I don't know. If you're not going to throw him the ball, but the times you do throw him the ball, he's making big catches. Maybe throw him the ball more. No, you'd rather keep throwing it to Olave.
No, I mean that we're definitely at getting to the head against the wall there with him.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe give Cooks more opportunities is my point. He's making the catches when you give him the chances.
For me, it's I almost feel like I'm surprised Shaheed hasn't overtaken that as at least that number one target.
Well, yeah, throw the ball to. I think you're trying to get Chris opportunities. And I have to go back and see what they were doing to Shaheed if they were taking him away over the top. Because I don't think it's a coincidence that you threw to Olave 10 times. You only ran 51 plays. It's not like you had a ton of plays in this game.
We'll go back to what we were seeing in training camp. I thought we were seeing more of an evolution of Shaheed as this complete receiver and figured he'd be more of just that over-the-top threat for them.
I mean, I think you have seen Rashid be more of a complete receiver. It's just that you haven't seen him get the targets over the top that you want.
Yeah.
But most of his catches have come underneath. He's only got 2 catches. 2 of his catches are over the top catches. A lot of them have been comeback routes. He's got 26 catches on the year for 316 yards. Those aren't bad numbers for your number 2 receiver.
I guess that's my problem. The years I'm always saying, feed Taysom. Right now, Shaheed's one of the few people I trust, I guess. So I want to keep feeding that guy.
Here's something for you. Shaheed has exactly 4 catches in each of the last 5 games.
Okay.
Against the 49ers, 4 catches for 52 yards and a touchdown. Against the Seahawks, 4 catches for 42 yards. Against the Bills, 4 catches for 47 yards. Against the Giants, 4 catches for 114 yards and a touchdown. Against the Patriots, 4 catches for 28 yards, long as 17. The problem is, so 6 catches week 1, long of 17. 4 catches week 3, long of 15. 4 catches week 4, long of 15. 4 catches in week 6, long of 17.
Yeah.
That's the problem. it's that I need that long to be like 30, 40 at minimum. And you just haven't seen that. And it's not that you've been throwing it to him and he hasn't been coming down with it. You just haven't been throwing him.
Add more Shaheed, please.
More Shaheed. But all right. Anything else you want to highlight before we close this out?
Let me see. I'm trying to think of stock ups. No, like I said, it was tough. I thought we'd have a shorter segment than this has been as a whole, honestly, just because overall he's leading the team in scoring and bouncing back after a couple misses.
Well, one of the reasons it's been long is because every time you start talking, I have to ask you to repeat it because I have no idea what you said.
Because I keep stuttering here.
Yeah, try that again.
Just looking at the team overall for me, Jeff, it's capitalizing. You got to capitalize in the red zone more, and with the Blake groupie being the biggest positive for me on offense, I really don't have many any other ups to really get into this game.
I agree, and we don't have to get into any more. My final stock up is Tankathon because I'm going to be looking at that pretty regularly for the next few months.
But what, like I said, what was depressing about that is like we're 1-5, and you see the Saints have the 5th pick right now. It's like, how can that be?
Yeah. Yep.
There's too many shitty teams. 1
win, and you're not even,
top 3.
I mean, 4 of those teams have 1 win, so
yeah.
you're kind of
There's
right
just
there.
Too much of that. Yeah, I need more wins for folks.
This is they're actually playing 3D chess. Like they were like, well, we don't want to win. What are we doing? But all right, that's it. Let's end it. Who dat? Go Saints. BZ all. Jeff Nowak. Steve Geller. Make sure to subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at Jeff_Nowak. You can follow Steve at Steve Geller WWL. Until the next time, beat the the Bears. Yeah. Who dat?
Chicago.
We don't really have much time to do a full mailbag. So because we have to, Kellen's got 10 minutes. We went to
good. It's going to be like terrible.
Plus breaking up.
Yeah, I got to do, I guess, do a reset on the router or something.
Yeah, I don't know. But I think we're going to skip the mailbag for this week. But I'll try to do one, maybe do one later in the week if I have some time. We've already gone through all this stuff. We don't need to complain anymore, right?
I was going to say a lot of it's going to be piling on shit.
Yeah, right. Let's say it all again. But I appreciate everyone being in here. We'll get to the mailbag next week. Hopefully, it's about after a win, and we can and we can get going. But we'll do it.
I'm dying for more wins, Jeff.
So is everyone else. And here's the thing: like, they're better off not winning, and that's the weird part. It's like you get it. It's like, hey, I want the number 1 pick in the draft, right? But in the moment, it's like, damn it, I want to win a game, right? So,
yeah, you need those little glimmers of positivity or hope to keep you going, because you come off the high from the victory, and now you just got like pounded back down again. And I don't know, man. I'm just worried. Every QB it seems like we face has a career day.
Yeah, that's a problem. That's a problem. We're back to like the 2012, 2013 era defense, but we don't have that offense, right?
Yeah, that's your defense is, not showing up, and the offense can't get in the end zone enough to support that.
Right. Can you imagine how bad things would have felt if you didn't have Breeze during that era?
Oh yeah,
During that period of terrible, during like the Rob Ryan days.
That's why it's just awful, awful, awful that the Saints were only able to get, one championship with Drew.
Yeah. Jerry G says you've got the AOL dial-up service, which they retired that. Maybe that's why your internet's so slow, because they finally retired your dial-up. Yeah. Steve, how you feeling about the Eagles?
Oh my Lord, everything has gone kaput over there as well. Fire the offensive coordinator. The tush push is back in the headlines because they just keep running it and running it and running it.
It's the only thing they can do well.
And yeah, I don't know what's going on with the offense, but it's peculiar for sure.
Yeah, I don't even get that excited about. Like, I used to get really excited about the Giants winning, and now that they actually beat the Eagles, I'm just like, I'm so far removed from it. Like, it's like I text I'm happy for my dad. My dad gets really excited about it, and so I talked to him about it. But otherwise, it's like, yeah, okay. But it was nice to see. It was nice to see.
Yeah, it's
Brian Daboll is so excited that he might keep his job.
It was one of those too. You see stats beforehand, like the last time the Giants won on Thursday Night Football, and so many other things. And then you had, 2 rookies for them showing out, which, well, it's like crap. As a fan of the Eagles, you're like, well, I'm going to have to see these 2 guys a whole lot.
Cam Scatabo, there's like a negative 3% chance he gets a second contract. Like, the way he plays, like, there's no way he survives 8 years in the NFL. There's just no way.
It's amazing. Yeah, we'll see how everyone says that one, but he'll be like a Frank Gore and just keep going somehow.
No. The only thing he has going for him is he's not fast now, so it's not like he's gonna lose his speed but like, man, he's gonna have to be the first NFL player to, like, have live action CTE. Like, it's just, man, I don't know.
But that attitude and the personality that him and Dart have right now, you're kind of jealous of that for any fan base, that you're looking for some answers.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Trying to find some good questions. Oh, Katie, we talked about this earlier. Like, I genuinely thought for a second that the Patriots were going to pick up that 3rd and 27, and that would have been like the ultimate, like, slap in the face for that game. Because it's like the refs, I don't know, they were bad, but it did feel like they were trying to do the Saints some favors there.
I just laugh when you see the pool reporters, asking the refs about the game, about the Diggs penalty, and I was just like, I don't know. That's a tough one for them to stomach for sure.
For the refs,
for the Patriots to stomach, the refs' excuse on that one.
Well,
they got the win, so great.
They scored a touchdown on that drive anyway, so it's not like they really lost anything. But here's the thing, like, I do get a kick out of when people post a video of the penalty that was called and they're like, this can't happen. Like, that's the penalty. The penalty's there. Like, the issue wasn't that there was no offending action. Like, there was a penalty to be called. The issue is just don't call it. Like, ignore it. It has no effect on the play. No one will look back and be like, I can't believe they didn't call that. Right?
Right.
By the letter of the law, that's a penalty. But if you said that about every NFL play, you'd have like 50 flags a game, right? There's got to be some nuance. And I wish the ref understood it in that moment. Even as someone who's rooting for the Saints, like, I'm happy to see the Saints get the benefit of the call for once. But, like, just let it go. Just let it go. But I do take offense to the idea that Diggs did nothing wrong to draw that penalty, because Diggs fucked up. Like Diggs did not know that he either didn't know the play call or it was an RPO that like Drake May extended, because he goes downfield and the first thing he does is put his right arm into Kool-Aid's shoulder and push. And that's a block. Like he's blocking. And it ends almost instantly because he looks back and he sees like, oh, this isn't a run play. So he pulls his arm back. But like that's what happened. And you can see the ref standing 4 feet away. Like he saw it, he clocked it. And so he calls it. Now, the issue was he needed to throw that flag the second the ball got thrown, because it's not a penalty until the ball gets thrown. And he didn't. He ran down the field and he's got a job to do. He's got to make sure there are no other penalties throughout the course of that play. But the length of time between when the flag should have come out, which was when the ball was thrown, and when it actually came out, which was well after the touchdown, it's always, no matter what the call is, it could be the most obvious penalty in the world, it's going to come off as like, what the hell just happened? So, yeah. I just saw a fun little Schefter fact he posted. The last 4 QBs taken number 1 overall have all seen their head coach fired during the rookie campaigns. Yeah, because you can't fire the number 1 overall pick. You can only fire the coach. Yeah, exactly. It's pretty wild. This is a good question. And I didn't bring this up after the game, but I didn't love it. So he says, what are y'all's thoughts on the timeout used in the fourth quarter before the 2-minute mark? And I didn't like it. I wanted him to. So, because here's the thing, you have a 2-minute drill, right? Like if you can get the ball back around the 2-minute mark, I would rather have let me rephrase. I would rather get the ball back at the 2-minute mark with 1 timeout than get it back with like 2 minutes and 40 seconds and no timeouts. Right. And if the fact that they got a positive gain on that first down play, I'm not calling a timeout there. I'm letting it roll out and I'm letting them run one more play. And then if you get the stop there, if you get them knocked back, which you did, then I call that timeout. Then there's about like 2 minutes and 50 seconds left and they have to run a 3rd down play. They're probably going to throw it, but it at least saves me, because if they convert it, then I have timeouts and I still get another shot at it. If they throw it and it's incomplete, I have 2 timeouts and all the time in the world. And if they throw it incomplete, I still have that timeout and I can get the ball back with about, like, I don't like the idea of going, we either get a stop on this set of downs or the game is over, because that's what happened. And I don't know, like I think Kellen is overvaluing that extra like 40 seconds on the clock and not the timeout, but the timeout is worth more than 40 seconds. So I agree with the common denominator here. Even though I feel goofy saying that YouTube name out loud, because the common denominator is the Saints lose the game regardless. But no, I agree. I don't love Kellen's timeout usage in general. I don't know exactly how he's basing those decisions on, but this is the second time that I'm just like, I don't. You're optimizing this. Anyway, there was a question, so I answered. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We've seen a few peculiar situations pop up so far for Kellen. Overall, it's been kind of like a middle ground, I guess, going how it's been going for year 1 as the head coach. There hasn't been that great high, and there hasn't been super lows. It's just kind of been meh, right in the middle. Yeah, and I mean, like there's been adversity. I think he's handled it pretty well. I think I've had some questions with some of the mechanics, some of the decision making, and we'll see how that develops over time. Like he's a first-year head coach. It's like first-year anything you're going to have to learn. So we'll see. I don't know. He's got to learn to start practicing earlier in the day. That'd be nice. Speaking of practicing earlier in the day, let's close this thing out. Kellen Moore has either started talking or he's just about to. So thanks everyone for hanging out. Who dat? Go Saints. We'll be back. I'll be back on Wednesday with a mini episode, and then we'll be back later in the week with a preview of the fight in Dennis Allen's, aka the Chicago Bears. But later, who dats.